Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Custom Figure Showcase. I'll explain later my ongoing custom series of customs from the comic relief special Curse of Fatal Death. And today we have the Master, of course. So the head sculpt on this one was done by Doctor Who UK. Absolutely fantastic head sculpt. One that I bought ages ago, and I always intended to put the figure together, and then I never got round to it. It sat on a shelf for ages, but I finally got round to using it. Absolutely wonderful head sculpt, and really does look the part. And it was one that I'd seen a few other people do, and a lot of other people chose to do him in his sort of outfit from the end with his etheric beam locators, and it was I always liked that idea. It was one I did many years ago myself, actually, using a Roger Delgado head in place. But I sort of initially thought I might go back and do that and redo it, because it's a sort of iconic look for him, because it is one of the funniest sort of jokes in the or running jokes in that series. There's a lot of funny ongoing running jokes actually in that, so it's difficult to pin them down, but that was always one that I think a lot of people always found funny, because of the Dalek bumps, quote unquote. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, do you know what, actually I really wanted in a really classic Master outfit. I always loved the Master's sort of robe looks and things like that, and it is one that really does look very good. And I'd sort of learnt a little bit of how to sort of do a similar thing from doing my Eric Roberts TV movie Master in the same sort of thing. So what I've got here is, overall it is a Rassilon figure, but I have swapped out the legs for, I believe, a set of Brigadier or Unit Soldier legs, which I've painted black. And then the torso underneath is still the Rassilon one, but I've taken the sort of tunic off of a Crispy Beavers Pratt Master and put that over the top, because the Roger Delgado ones, obviously it's the same sort of thing, but they're quite difficult to get hold of, due to their sort of more rarity, while the the Crispy Masters are, the Burnt Masters, whatever you want to call them, are a lot more commonly easy to come by, so it was easy to sort of get the piece I need for that. The front of his robes, so all of the sort of gold bit down to about here downwards is all just painted on, but this whole bit over the top was actually made using just a piece of card that I cut to shape and then moulded Milliput onto the top, stuck it in place so that when it dried into the shape that I wanted it. And again, the same with the actual sort of collar bit. I cut a piece of card to shape, folded it in the sort of shape I wanted it, moulded the Milliput onto it, stuck it onto the figure, and then just let it sort of bend into shape so it sort of holds itself enough, and then let it dry. And then I went over and added the sort of trim around the edges, which again was easier to do after it had dried as well. But it is again one that's come out really well, and I am really pleased with the sort of outcome of it, because it is a difficult thing to do, that sort of level of sculpting, at least for me. It's something that I've still sort of got I'm still sort of learning, and it's always a bit of a learning curve. I don't think I'm ever going to truly master it, pun not intended. But it is one of those things that, again, I look at sort of things like this and think, do you know what, actually I am getting to grips with it, I am getting a hang of it, and I'm learning as I go as well. The only thing that I haven't done on this is on his arms. He has a sort of slightly more sort of flowing cuff to it, which again I sort of contemplated doing it, because I did sort of do a similar thing on the Eric Roberts Master that I did using Milliput, but it makes the figure incredibly top heavy. And then I thought about doing it with just sort of strips of card and folding them into the right shape, cutting them into the right shape, and then adding them on. But again, the more I thought about it, it was a case that they're going to get bent, they're probably going to get ripped if they're only card, and let's be honest, when you see them from the front like this, you don't notice it, you don't see it. So it was sort of an added, whilst it does make the figure a little bit inaccurate, it was an added extra that I could get away with not doing. So I decided not to go for that in the end. But on that note as well, though, because we're talking about the end, that brings to a close another custom figure showcase I'll explain later. As always, I hope you all enjoy this video. Like, subscribe, share, it really helps me out a lot, and be sure to check out the description below for a link to my Patreon. I had a little bit of a reshuffle, so there is only the one tier on there at the moment with the minimal donation, but the smallest donation gets your name at the end of my videos, and all of the donations are greatly received. It really helps go towards the continued running of the channel. I salute you all, and I will see you in another video very soon.